You are now listening to the most talked about blog talk radio station in the universe. Walk in His ways, Impact Voice Radio. Be prepared to have your mind stimulated, your spirit elevated in ways you couldn't even imagine. Introducing your host and the mastermind behind this unforgettable experience, Furman Jackson Jr. You will not be disappointed. Let's go!
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Walk in This Way's Impact Voice Podcast. I'm your host, Furman Jackson Jr. I'm broadcasting you live once again from Arlington, Texas, outside Dallas and Fort Worth. Big shouts out to Dallas, big shouts out to Fort Worth, other surrounding areas. Big shout out to the whole entire DFW once again. And also I'm joined along with Kenny Primetime Williams. He brings the latest news of updates of the sports world. And also I'm very excited to have our very special guest, Jacqueline, who had a mutual connection with Craig. He was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, made a connect, and she's going to be talking about finances. So the topic of this podcast is called Let's Get Our Blank Together. And we're going to be talking about finances. She's going to educate us on finances. Finances is important. I wish that we would have had this stuff implemented when we was in high school, middle school, to prepare us. Our parents prepared us for a very financial future. And I noticed that for the past couple years or so, learning about finances started to pick up. People started to catch on to generational wealth, that they can have a life of freedom, a life to be able to do the things they want to do. They can help out people they can help out. They don't have to worry about rob Peter to pay Paul, things of that nature. But we have an expert here tonight that's going to break it down too. We're going to get into some hardcore stuff, some stuff that's going to challenge you to make you better when it comes to money. Things to help you to enhance your spending and things of that nature. Everybody want A1 credit, all that other stuff. But that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, and how the Most High lead us to talk about here on tonight's podcast. Also, before we get started, I know Kenny has the latest news and updates. We know that for the Cowboy fans, it was a bye week, but the Cowboys will be playing back this Sunday. Then we play on Halloween. They're going to be playing the Minnesota Vikings. So we're pushing for win number 6, of course. So Kenny, take it away with the latest news and updates, news from the NFL, NBA, you name it.
All right. Everyone, how you doing, world? Everyone out in radio land, podcast land, that's on the sound of my voice, thank you for tuning in. You are now in the Prime Zone. I'm your host, Kenny Primetime Williams, and I want to send shots out to Mobile, Alabama, Dallas, Texas, the Mississippi Gulf Coast area, my hometown, Greenville, Mississippi. I thank all of you for tuning in tonight. We have some news to tell you tonight on the sports side, and we hope that you got your gears together and everything so you can get all you need tonight. But before we start off, I would like to say tonight is game 1 of the World Series, MLB. Everybody's looking forward to it. I am actually excited for one reason and one reason only. It's because we have 2 teams that's playing in tonight's matchup that are both from the South. The South teams. We have Atlanta, Georgia, and Houston, Texas going head to head. So I'm excited. I'm going to take the Houston Astros because I used to live in Houston, and nothing against Atlanta because I love Atlanta as well. But I'm taking Houston to knock it out of the park and start this thing off right. Shouts out to Houston, Texas. And we're going to hope that everything goes well for those guys, and good luck to you as you get ready to pursue a championship for the World Series. Now, moving on in the NBA. The NBA season has kicked off. And ladies and gentlemen, it has been a wild ride these last couple of days. The Lakers, a lot of moves has been around the league with the Chicago Bulls and a lot of other people that has got adjusted to being with their new team, including Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls are looking great. Even the Charlotte Hornets are looking great. A lot of years back, those teams wasn't mentioned because they wasn't having winning record, or they wasn't having anybody that was producing and getting in the thing. But now a lot of things are getting turned around, and so big ups to guys with that new team. Tonight, the Lakers are squaring off against the San Antonio Spurs. LeBron James will not play tonight due to a sore right ankle. He messed around and he injured that ankle against the Memphis Grizzlies, which the Lakers captured their first win. And on that very same game, Carmelo Anthony scored 28 points, putting him 9th scoring of all time. So big ups to Carmelo Anthony and the Lakers. I wish him well tonight. And as they get ready to play against the San Antonio Spurs and all other NBA games that's around the league tonight. Now, as we move on to the NFL, last night's game against the Saints and the Seahawks was a close one. It was a very wet one, and it came down to the Saints coming out on top 13-10 against the Seahawks, and it was pretty good. It was a pretty good game. I watched the game. Alvin Kamara had 20 carries for 51 yards, also 10 receptions for 128 yards and a touchdown. He had a great game. He also reached a milestone on last night. So big ups to Kamara and everything. I'm personally not a New Orleans Saints fan, but I got to give him props for props due. Now we move on down to Tampa Bay, and I really miss Miss Emo because I'm going to actually give her team, her quarterback that is, a great compliment. Tom Brady is the first ever quarterback to reach 600 passing touchdowns. And I watched the game, and it was a very comical game, but it came out to be very emotional game, especially for the crowd. When Tom Brady scored his 600th touchdown, passing touchdown, they gave the ball away, and they had to go retrieve the ball from a fan, and the fan came back, and they had to get the ball back from the fan. But in the end, that's Tom Brady. And the fan that got the ball, they exchanged it for 2 years of season tickets, 2 signed jerseys from Tom Brady, and a signed jersey from the other wide receiver, Evans is what they call him. And so that was a great deal. I would have took that. Me personally, I would have kept the ball because that ball was worth $500,000. You know, a ball like that, I would have kept the ball. I don't want the jersey. I don't want the tickets. I can watch the game on TV. I'd have kept the ball. But anyway, the person loved it, so it worked out all good. But congratulations to Tom Brady on a great accomplishment. A lot of quarterbacks that play in the league for years doesn't reach that milestone. And so for him to be playing at 44, he is doing a great job. And he is on to a great start of a year. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and himself, they are playing great. So big ups to Tom Brady. Update about Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott had an injury in the New England Patriots game. He suffered a strained calf. It wasn't that bad. It was just a mild one. He's had 2 MRIs. He was limited for practice on Monday and on today. He's going full gear on Wednesday, and he will be behind the center Sunday night against Minnesota. So we're going to look forward to the Dallas Cowboys and that game on Sunday night. I hope everybody out there will be watching. I will definitely be watching. Before the show kicked off, I had my Dallas Cowboys star behind me, but we'll figure that out. A little technical difficulties, but definitely next Tuesday you will see the star all over the place. Joe Flacco is on his way back to the New York Jets. The Eagles have traded the quarterback. He's bounced around the league a little bit. Remember starting out with the Baltimore Ravens. And so now he's been traded, and he has been on his way back to the New York Jets. Trade deadline will be next Thursday. So we might see a lot of different moves between here and there from the NFL team. Different players might go to different teams. And speaking of which, Desean Watson, we haven't saw him this year yet. We haven't heard anything from him due to the fact of his case is coming up, and he's going through some things with the organization. But he is scheduled to he's looking for teams, and a lot of teams are now expressing their interest in him, including the Carolina Panthers, the Miami Dolphins, and the Washington football team. So I am excited about to see where he ends up and where he lands. I'm picking Miami because Miami is a good fit for him. Also, Cam Newton has been in talks with the Seattle Seahawks. After watching last night, and I'm not here to put anybody down about what position they place in the NFL, but Geno Smith will not cut it for Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks. And so Cam Newton, I think, will be a great fit for him. They are in talks for trying to get an agreement for him to come to play for the Seattle Seahawks while Russell Wilson is out recovering from a hand injury. He's scheduled to be back after week 11. He just had surgery and to remove a pin from his finger, and he's just recovering. He was at the game last night, so speedy recovery to Russell Wilson, and I will hope that Cam Newton does find a home very soon. Now, I would like for everybody to brace yourself when I tell you this. Mike Tyson is going back to the ring, ladies and gentlemen. He's going back to the ring February of 2022. He will be facing off against Ryan Paul. Talks has came today that he has been finalized, contracts has been signed, and I am excited to see this. We all know the YouTube sensation Ryan Paul. He fought against Floyd Mayweather as an exhibition. He also fought against Nate Robinson. He's done a lot of exhibition fights, and now he's going to do another one with our people's champ. I think it's going to be a great fight against Mike Tyson. So tune in. It's definitely going to be on pay-per-view. I will be watching. I hope you do as well. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, ladies and gentlemen, but this is my time, and I would like to say thank you for tuning in to the Prime Zone. God loves you. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Mr. Furman, take it away, man.
Appreciate it, Ken, with the latest news and sports updates around the world. Very excited about that. All the take inspired in the sports world, of course, Mike Tyson. In the words of Iron Mike Tyson, we're not born humble, we're made to be humble. And Mike Tyson expresses that as of late, since this part of his career, the part of his life, how he was at the top of the pinnacle, top of the food chain, being prideful in the things, and that pride, came full fall. And to this point, he said he's a humble man. Also, big shouts out to everybody who's doing great things, walking your purpose, walking in your destiny, utilizing your God-given gifts, your talents, your potential. There I said, tonight we're talking about let's get our blank together. We're going to be talking about finances on this episode tonight. We had some financial talk before, but we really get back into it again. We want to talk about saving. We want to talk about budgeting. We want to get some understanding when it comes to money. And we know that the latest, if we look on TV, we got the latest trends, the latest gadgets, stuff that gets us to spend more. And then once when you spend more, then you're like, dang, I should have waited to get this. So we're going to talk a lot of stuff tonight, so we got some Q&A. So Jacqueline, I want to thank you for taking time with your busy schedule to join me here on the podcast. Talk about some interesting stuff to challenge us when it comes to our finance, when it comes to our spending. So Jacqueline, welcome to Walking the Waves Impact Voice. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Awesome. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jacqueline Dinh, Dallas-Fort Worth native. I spent a lot of time out here until I was 18 years old, moved out to Tyson, Florida for 10 years. Just moved back here permanently this past February, and it has been a wild ride. But overall, my serial entrepreneur career has taken about a decade to get to this point. So super excited just to talk about finances, right? It may not be a comfortable topic for a lot of people, but at the end of the day, if we don't got money, you can't live. And I'm not talking paycheck to paycheck either. I'm like talking to really live, So, Berman, are we gonna start with the Q&A, or we'll just go right into the story of how I became, where I am today?
Well, I just want to ask that too, because I know when you talk about money, when you talk about finances in a setting, whether it's your church setting or you at a conference somewhere, people cringe when it comes to finances. And I'm a very big believer that we should take care of ourselves. Even the Bible instructs us to provide the man. He said a man provide for, if you don't provide for himself, especially for his own household, he works an infidel. And we want to basically break this generational thing that we deal with, like social media wise. Every time a loved one passes, people don't have life insurance. They don't have none of this stuff prepared. They want to do these GoFundMe accounts. And I know that these things could be avoided if we learn how to buckle down when it comes to our finances. But give your background and your history on how you came to this point in your life to spread this wealth of knowledge to those who's willing to listen.
So age of 17, I pretty much get told by my mom, you gotta, leave I wasn't around to be around my family for certain, reasons that are long gone under the bridge sort of thing. But, when you live in another state by yourself, you don't know anybody there, it tends to be a little lonely, right? So I know for me particularly, the college route was not my thing. I knew it from day one when I moved that I am not, a typical average millennial. I needed something to really keep me molded into the person I wanted to be, right? So obviously we were all young and naive at one point. I can definitely say that I've made my fair share of mistakes, but the one thing that I learned to discern is attaching myself emotionally, especially, trying to get myself, in a personal sense, in a professional sense, to separate all that, right? Because that's what, we don't learn growing up, is that we can allow our emotions to cloud our judgment, particularly when we're trying to level up and make moves, right? So a huge part of what I tell people all the time, especially when they're, a few years younger than I am, or even when they're older and they lost that sense of direction or clarity, is to seek out mentorship. I've been rolling with one of my mentors since I was 19 years old, and I'm now 27. It is a matter of listening. And what I don't mean is take in your mentor's words and put it in one ear and out the other. I really mean taking their time and using it effectively, leveraging all their knowledge, the things that you don't have at that age, to really get ahead. And down the line somewhere, I just fell in love with, being able to do what I do now, save people's futures and financially teach not only, myself, my family, but everyone around me, the importance of what it means to really be able to be your own money manager. I definitely love sports. I appreciate Kenny for what he just did and updating us on what's going on in the good world of sports. And I think for me, a huge part of anything, especially related to, finances or lack thereof for a lot of people these days, right, is you gotta block out that fear, tackle every problem, whether you caused it or not, head on, because sometimes life throws things at us that we can't control, and just finish strong. I could definitely say 2020, a lot of people would wish that it didn't happen, right? But either which way, the events of the pandemic, of COVID, of the economic distress and struggles we all went through, some of us was more impacted more than others, that wouldn't have been undone either which way. Because finances is all to do with building habits, good ones that, outlast not only your generation, but your children's, their children's, and so on and so forth, right? So either which way, like we can't unwish for a year to not happen or for a do-over, right? I think a lot of people get that confused with, quote unquote, starting over. If you really want to set goals and set them, to be worthwhile, you really got to break down and understand where are you at with, your life, not just with finances, but overall, how are you doing on all levels? Do you do, a personal financial strategy every quarter of the year, which is obviously, a minimum 4 times a year? Do you do budgeting? Do you have an accountant? And if you don't have one, then, what are you doing with, with your income, after you deduct taxes and whatever else, and whatever your take home pay is, right? What are you doing with strategizing about all that? So, earlier I mentioned really living is not living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, at the end of the day, if you are doing that, which a lot of people are, and I feel you on that, because, obviously there at one point, if you're still doing that, you're going to ask yourself, what are you really worth? Your boss at the end of the day is designating, what you're really worth. You sign a contract, you sign paperwork, you have to do all this stuff to even make the money that you make, right? And at the end of the day, if you feel like you're still being left without, what are you doing outside of your 9 to 5, whatever hours you work, to really get your goals and dreams on par, So it's like, as much as people may not want to admit it, finances are an everyday part of life. And these days, I've seen more GoFundMes than ever before. People are dying and passing away left and right. And yes, unfortunately, life insurance is not a common topic for people to talk about and discuss openly. But, it's probably because of the fact that they are not able, to be educated like how I am these days by choice, by the way. I know I'm young, but all my education is done by choice. I take the time to do what I do because at the end of the day, I don't know if I'm going to live up to be 100 years old. The average lifetime in my family is probably about 80, 85, if we're lucky. So, and that's just the thing, is that young, old, I don't care what the background is or walk of life, everyone deserves a shot to live out their best life, even if they may not be able to live out a full lifetime span, you know? So, you just got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. No one talks about, the other side of what happens. I don't, whatever you believe in God or whatever spiritual, upbringing you had, all of us passed away. You can't undo that. It's a fact of life, right? The other fact of life being inflation too. I mean, we're all seeing the ridiculous gas prices go up, right? We're all seeing food costs where everything is rising. And if you can't outbeat the ongoing rate of inflation with your current financial pillar and how you structure it, what hope do you have for your retirement? What hope do your kids have? You have kids, for their upbringing, for their retirement, for their college fund, stuff like that. So at the end of the day, that's what I'm about. I teach all that and then some, because as much as I was given the opportunity by my original mentor, plus all the mentors I have to this day, to have my shot, I'm now able to give people theirs. So at the end of the day, right now, I mean, financial literacy for men, I mean, we don't get taught this in schools. I know for a fact that I wasn't taught any of this in school. I know for a fact that you weren't taught any of this in school. My parents, coming from a third world country and moving out here over 30 years ago, they didn't get any of this stuff because for whatever reason, we have to be taught in a, cordial manner where we're taught to be an employee, but never taught to be a real business owner, a real entrepreneur, someone that is able to have the basic financial knowledge, understanding to build anything they want from the ground up. It could be anything. Every business owner, every entrepreneur out there, that does their thing, you got to respect them for that, because it's not easy. I'm not saying being an employee is easy, but when you are responsible for clocking yourself in and out and not having anyone to tell you what to do, and everything that you put in capital wise is all on you, all your savings, all your money, no one else's money, that's a different ball game. So it's like, and that's the thing, I've been there and I'm still doing it. So I know that the transitioning is not going to be easy, not at all. But there's a reason why we're known as a melting pot. There's a reason why we have so many people here that take this route down the line, especially over COVID. People finally started realizing that relying on one source of income is not okay, especially when you have a house with a husband and wife and kids in the picture. It is not okay to have even one or two sources of income. So at the end of the day, nothing can be protected. All we're probably right down to the life insurance, right? It is a tool. It's something we leverage to protect our assets, our income, our families, our futures, and most importantly, the futures of generations that go after us. So that's my take on this. Coming from a 27-year-old millennial, I don't have all the answers. I still have a lot to learn, I think, when it comes to that, down to earth life experience. But for the 10 years that I've been doing this and doing all my transitioning and trying to, make it not only in the game of entrepreneurship, but in overall life, I've learned that, if you don't put yourself out there, no one's going to want to fight for you.
That's true. And you bring some interesting point, the accountability that we need to have, like you said, for you is by choice. And I know, like you said, for me, we didn't learn this stuff in school at all. We wasn't prepared for this stuff. Matter of fact, our parents, were prepared for this stuff. You was taught to work a certain amount of years. Then in your mind, you think you get to retirement, you get the retirement check. Hey, you're living your best life now. But now I know in this generation, things are starting to wise up now with people learning to get out the comfort zone, learn different skills to be able to have multiple streams of income coming in. A lot of learning about stocks and things of that nature. And also we got this generation where people, I don't know what it is, but it's like people in their early 20s, some of them don't take life seriously. I experience it on a regular basis. Like they so nonchalant, they take your life for granted. Before you know it, your 20s gone. You're gonna be in your 30s. Before you know, you're gonna be in your 40s. Your 50s.
That's gone too.
Yeah, people don't realize that, because I ain't gonna lie, I waste my time in my 20s, little part of my 30s, toward the tail end of my 30s, I start wising up. And and I'll be 40 next year. And taking this stuff seriously, buckling down when it comes to not just money, but health, overall health. I know you work out a lot or you take care of your body, and that plays a role too. Because the Bible said He wants us to prosper in health, as with our soul prosper. Taking care of ourselves on a physical level, mental level. But like I said, when it comes to finances, people get scared of that. You tell somebody, hey, like on the average, but break down for those who don't understand financial literacy. Break it down for the audience so they can get an understanding of what financial literacy is all about.
So for me and everyone that I work with, teammates, mentors, business partners, like I think it's all a matter of really understanding individually that you have to gauge where you're at. You can't be looking sideways, up and down, left and right. It's you. And I think financial literacy is all to do with how you discern yourself and what's going on with you. Do you have proper protection? And it's not just life insurance aspect. Do you have health insurance? Because remember, we're obviously required and obligated to get insurance on our houses, properties, cars, whatever it is. Like, we're required to do that by the law, right? So why isn't it written in law that we have to protect ourselves automatically? Without us in our physical form, being at our best, the cars, the houses, none of that exists. So, yes, sometimes it takes people a long time to understand that, which is okay. Better late than never. From protection first, then goes into debt management and debt roll up. A perfect example is student loan debt. We're trusting 18 to 22-year-olds to take on XYZ figures of debt for their schooling, higher education, right? But majority of the time, we don't promote self-education, which is obviously ties back into financial literacy, right? Being taught what it is that we're supposed to do, what it is we're not supposed to do. And on top of that, why are they allowed to do that, but they can't take on anything else at that time frame? Buying a house, buying a car, that's what we're supposed to do, between the ages of like 23 to like 27, 28, 29, 30. But yet more and more millennials can't do that because they're sunk in student loan debt, right? So it's like, and it's a shame because at the end of the day, financial literacy just breaks down a couple of different things. Learning how to do your own taxes, learning how to find your own right banker for what it is that you want to do with your future and your assets that you want to eventually build, right? Even learning from a book. You see that Saving Your Future, blue cover that I have in my background.
Right.
Basic principles of building a financial education. You learn the difference between a tax now, tax later, tax advantage vehicle. You learn what the Rule 72 is about, how to double your money in a amount of time, depending on what your original principal amount is. You learn the difference between different retirement accounts, right? Roth IRA, SEP IRA, self-directed IRA, 401k, 401(b). I'm pretty sure 99.9% of people I talk to on the streets these days, or even in passing, they can't tell me the difference, because they don't learn it. And it's okay. None of us did. But that's why there are tools out there. I teach financial workshops. I teach people how to increase their cash flow. I teach people how to get rid of their debt and make sure that they don't have a problem with it ever again. The student loan debt is just a huge chunk of it for people my age. But then think about credit card debt. All them store credit cards, everything you get from Capital One and all the bigger banks. If you really think about it, the average percentage on a credit card right now is 21% APR. That is nuts, considering the fact that a lot of people's, day-to-day living can't sustain that. And yet people are putting credit cards on everything these days. That's just the culture we have in America. The act of spending, but not the act of saving. The fear of FOMO. FOMO stands for fear of missing out. And this definitely applies to my generation, as well as, Generation X and baby boomers and such. The social media stuff, y'all gotta let that stuff phase out. All that noise people make online, think about it. Are these people that you barely even know sometimes, are they being the same online as they are offline? Because for me, that's a huge factor of mine. Online, offline, I am the same individual. You meet me, on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, you meet me in person, here in my home in Arlington or in my office in Dallas, I am the same individual. I talk in the same way, I carry myself the same way, right? So financial literacy is all to do with basic understanding that you have a life to live and you can't be confusing all that with the outside external noise. On top of taking the time to learn the workshops, taking the time to do these things, because believe it or not, it's not in a structured way. Being a financial literacy educator is my life. I got the tools in hand and online, virtual over Zoom, to help anybody and everybody, right? So at the end of the day, I mean, it's a choice, really. It is a choice for not only young people, but anybody and everybody to understand that, if you're already making good, decent money, that's awesome, right? If you're an engineer or a doctor or, a lawyer or whatever, and you're making decent money, that is great. But at the end of the day, it's all about what you save and invest, not about what you make and blow after the fact.
Right.
So, which leads me to my next point. People tend to think that investments start first. No. Corporate protection, debt management, looking at where you're at with your emergency funds. Because of COVID, it's actually supposed to be a thing where you save at minimum 6 to 12 months of money that you normally earn and, net take-home pay, right? And a lot of people don't do that because, they think COVID happened last year. 18 months, 19 months later, we're still dealing with it. There's no way that we could deal with something of this magnitude again. And at the end of the day, that's a factor none of us can control. None of us saw COVID coming. None of us were prepared for lockdowns. I damn near went crazy during that lockdown time frame because, I'm a person that likes to get out. I like to socialize. I like to be around people and be around, individuals that are trying to better themselves, right? And that's what my circle is about. So COVID, obviously, during the lockdown time frame, we were all stuck in our homes. We couldn't do a damn thing about it except listen to what we were told and pray and hope that we were going to be able to, one day leave lockdown, which we did. But if you think about it these days, people are still living in so much fear. I don't know about anybody else, but I do know for myself, like I still live my life. I get out. And like Furman said, I work out. The thing for me is that as long as I eat right, hydrate, get plenty of exercise, get some sunlight, that is my natural to go to therapy, not staying holed up in my office or in my home all day. And, no offense to those that think otherwise, but COVID didn't stop me from living my life. And yet it's stopping so many other people from living theirs to this day. So it's like, what are we going to do about that? We have lives. We're humans. God created us for many, many reasons, yet we're being mandated and told that we can't do certain things at certain time frames, and we have to do and be a certain way to even function as an overall society. Like, doesn't anyone else think that's nuts? Like, we have lives to live in, and at the end of the day, employee or employer or whatever it is that you fall in that category, between employee, business owner, investor, whatever, we're all still human, and we all still need, that high touch feeling of being around other people.
Right.
So, Herman, what do you think? I mean,
you actually say some interesting points, Jacqueline, on that because going outside is healthy. Getting some fresh air is healthy. And people be so cooped in that they don't really think about that. Taking care of your health is important. I remember back in the day with my parent, especially my mom didn't want me and my brother not to miss school at all. She made sure we took vitamin C, Coloval, to make sure our immune system was strong. And I'll be telling people since COVID hit, see people on social media promote taking care of yourself, getting the proper nourishment you need for your body. They're not gonna tell you that. You never see people talk about that stuff. It was only one lady I knew talked about that one time. Since then, nobody ever talked about it no more. I made sure I take my vitamin C every day. I made sure I drink plenty of water every day. I made sure I eat right on occasion, and most importantly, eat it right every day. And make sure I take the proper nourishment I need for my body, keep me healthy, keep my body well, because at the end of the day, my body and my mind is my money maker. I gotta get out there, I gotta work, I gotta make things happen. And now, we're in the generation now, Jacqueline, that people are making excuses. Since when COVID hit, it's no way you can't tell me that you can't make that happen for yourself. If you want to, like job-wise, it's so many jobs hiring, especially here in Dallas, Arlington. Now I live in Arlington too, and it's surrounding area. I see jobs hiring every day, opportunities, and it's not people making these excuses why they can't work. But then when it comes to when all hell break loose, it hits the fan. Now everybody want to look for handout. I'm not knocking nobody, not disrespecting nobody, but it's to put a point now. We have to learn how to be accountable for our own actions. You know, I'm all for prayer, but same time, God give us common sense too. Solomon asked for wisdom to be able to discern between good, to be able, evil, to be able to judge things righteously. Wisdom is important. The Bible even talks about wisdom. So God give us this wisdom to utilize here in the earth instead of just saying I'm just praying, believing God, and don't do anything. God don't operate like that. God wants us to move without faith. It's possible to please Him without faith. So that means you got to operate, you got to work on it, you got to act on it. So getting back to the point of finances, I want to talk about paying bills on time. I know I had some questions for you. It just took me to a whole nother level just talking about.
Yeah.
Paying our bills on time. Is that something that you always implement to people? Because we never want to pay our bills on time. When let's say if a concert coming up or some new pair of J's coming out, we're late paying our bills.
Oh, Herman, you know we're in the midst of holiday season, and I cannot I don't idly sit by and just tell people that's the thing too. There's only so many times you can tell somebody, especially someone you love, that they're not doing things the accurate, most proper way. The biggest thing for me is about paying your bills on time is, number one, if you don't have more than one stream of income, you have to go out there and you got to hustle to make it happen. The more and more you understand about how to build passive income streams, being an affiliate, learning how to, to take on a side hustle, working for your friends that have businesses, mind you, that should not be beneath anybody. I worked my own family for 3 straight years, 60 hours a week, for me to understand the importance of building more than one income stream. Because these days, paying bills from a passive income stream is a lot easier because I've been able to learn, implement it versus taking money from my active income streams. Technically speaking, yes, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an investor, but to this day, I still remain on payroll, the same company, same mentor I've been with since I was 19 years old, because I learned the importance, for myself and also for my, people that in the accounting tax world, that it looks good when you have all these 1099s, scheduled C's and whatnot, but you also have, the ability to track the fact that you're on payroll too, because working for somebody else should not be beneath anybody, as long as you understand that that individual sets goals for you and you're able to meet those goals by way of communication, by way of actually taking action, right? So, and as far as bills are concerned, they're set on time every month, no changes whatsoever. Yes, there are people out there who do not pay their mortgages, their utility bills, card notes, whatever it is, on time. And that's because of the fact that, whether we can, like what you said earlier, concerts, brand new Jordans coming out. In this case, we got Thanksgiving and Christmas, not to mention Black Friday in between all that. And, most people that, that think this way, no offense to anybody out there that's doing this, but, average money people always think, what can I get these right now? This is on sale. It's okay. I'm already saving $50, $100, whatever it is. I'll just buy it and put it on the credit card, or, I'll just take another, shift at work or whatever. And it's like that type of thinking is conditioned by the fact that we live in one of the most wealthiest countries in the world, yet we have no financial literacy system or any sort of, course to take implemented in our day-to-day school system or even just day-to-day life, period. So I challenge people that are doing that to take a step back and really, really think, is that worth it, or is treating yourself as a bill worth it? Paying yourself first. In this case, that relates right back into, financial literacy in terms of life insurance, in terms of starting your own business, in terms of being able to have your own startup capital and not having to go out there and get a loan from the SBA. Because that's the thing, Furman, and you obviously, we all saw this. The amount of loans that people got from the PPP, not to mention the EIDL, and all that stuff, and all these stimulus checks on top of that, it caused our US dollar to literally go from this all the way down to this. And it's like, they didn't, and that's another thing too. I mean, we all understand that we can't possibly hope to, outbeat inflation if we don't have the ability to continue to hustle and grind. I mean, there are people that I know that have 6, 7, 8 different sources of income, some passive, some active, but they're still working on getting more, because we don't know. One stroke of one pen, one single occurrence, it's not even just about COVID anymore and about how all that affected our health, but just overall what is designed to play out there in the big stage, the international stage. None of us know what's going to happen next. I mean, I, for one, I watch the US dollar and I see it fluctuate. I watch what goes on in the markets, S&P 500 and all the other, stuff that goes on out there. And for me, it's like, I encourage people, yes, obviously to pay their bills on time and set aside emergency funds and whatnot, but look at where the market is going. Beyond the commodities of gold and silver and whatever, beyond, cryptocurrency and NFTs and all the stuff that people do these days, which I have complete support on. What are you doing personally to better yourself and your family? And that can take levels to talk about. There are people right now that, unfortunately are just they're so casually inept to what's going on that all they do is just pay attention to their usual day-to-day. Wake up, get ready for work, drive in traffic, take care of the work, go home, eat dinner, I don't know, handle kids stuff if you have a family, and just sit on the couch after the fact and just watch TV all night long. Like, I don't understand that lifestyle. As while people are doing all that on the outside, all of our world leaders, all of our people, especially the economists and the people that are controlling what we're going to be having to deal with in the future, they're all working on some bigger plan all the time.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So it's like, at the end of the day, people got to ask themselves this question: are you controlling your money, or is your money controlling you? That is the bigger question of the overall century, just in lifetime period, right? Because, me personally, I have right now about 6 sources of income.
Okay.
Few are active, some are passive. The point is that I'm not going to stop. And, I encourage anybody out there to, if you don't have at least, 2 or more, 2 to 3 to 4, you got to start.
Right.
There's just so much knowledge out there. Look, YouTube, Google, you can ask, professionals in their industry, between Furman, Kenny, myself, anybody that's been around the block a couple of times to understand that one incident that takes away your whole life. Just one.
Yeah, that's it. It's just one. And taking things serious, like I said, I tell you, I pull doubles every day at work. I'm working from 10 at night all the way to 2:30 in the afternoon. And people's like, man, how you do it? Because I'm working on something, working on building something. I don't want to be mediocre. I want to be above that. You know what I'm saying? And people like, how you do? First of all, you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your body. Like I said, your body, your mind, your money maker. Make sure you're getting the proper vitamins. Make sure you're getting the proper rest. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Make sure you're getting enough proper intake for your body. So I learned how to study my body. I'm gonna say back in the day, especially single men that was single, they didn't have no children. That's all they knew was to hustle, bustle, hustle, bustle. Young ladies was too. If they wanted something, they saved for it. They didn't go get credit card. We know nothing about no credit card. If you wanted a car, what you did? You got your part-time job. You disciplined yourself. You didn't go out and say, oh, my friend's going out. You wanted to get a car. And I remember that's what I did. I remember I said I got my first car. My first car back in 2000, was it 2001, 2002? It was a Ford Tempo. And I remember I saved. I used to put like $100 away because we got paid every week. So I put $100 away every week in my savings. And eventually I did get that car and I paid cash. I was proud of it because that's something I wanted. Now everybody want to be in that quick fix thing. Like, I don't have time to say I got to get it now. And then before you know it, you're going to wish you never did. So I'm going to talk about savings too. On average, what should be a percentage a person should save when it comes out of their income, what percentage did you implement that they should start with?
10 to 15%, Furman, by default. Most people, they work 9 to 5, they get paid bi-weekly, sometimes, every third week, sometimes it's once a month, right? And that's just a thing too. It definitely varies, but for questions that I have for those out there that don't get a consistent paycheck or consistent direct deposit every week, why aren't you changing that? Like, we as humans have to design our worth. Me particularly, I'm completely adamant, and I did completely stand on the fact that, yes, while you have your job, while you are working to get by, you got to hustle outside those hours just to even make your dreams come alive. Because a lot of us don't have, me particularly, because I can speak from experience. I've been around people that have so much money, and I'm talking like people that are like had the silver spoon in their mouth and had trust fund babies, stuff like that. I've been around people with so much money that it is ridiculous, how some of them just, they live life, but they're not building anything anymore. It's like they have no purpose, like, God-given self-drive to even go out and do stuff for themselves, which I find ridiculous.
True.
It's like, and then you got people like us who didn't have that super spoon, who didn't have, parents that knew it all, that did it all, and that had all that money just stacked up like that, that went out there and just got after it, and it's like, yes, it's hard. The very idea of, mental health, I think as well has got to be addressed because, yes, COVID impacted a lot of people, mentally, but even before that, depression, anxiety, overload of stress, PTSD, like a lot of this I relate with as well, because, I know what some of that feels like because I've been there, but it's like, what are you doing to address all of that this current day? If you're already suffering in silence because of any of that, especially, maybe working a job you're not quite happy in, or you're dealing with, an environment that you don't quite feel comfortable or stable in, it's a trend I see. People that are already experiencing all that, even before COVID, during COVID, decided to stay cooped up in their houses, decided to block out things that are healthy, sunlight, exercise, getting fresh air, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, I don't want to see that. I know I have people in my life that are still dealing with it. And of course, being a good friend and being a good, quote unquote, life teammate, I like to call it. I'm always trying to go out there and help encourage and inspire. But there are a lot of people that don't have a support system. So it's like, that right there is energy. Energy is money. Money is energy. In scientific terms, but energy can't be created or destroyed. It just gets transferred from one place to another. So same thing with money. You can't, like, money is just energy. If your energy is all negative and there's some bad vibes flowing from you, there is no possible way, even with the grace of the Most High and doing everything He can to help you, can you ever get out of a situation where you're already hurting financially long term. Yes, there are some times that there's temporary fixes and you can do things short term, but if you're not able to get your vibrations up, your energy up, and not to mention able to get out of your own way, right? That's what a lot of people are dealing with. They can't seem to get out of their own way.
Right.
If you can't do that, then there's no way your money will ever be right. I'm not saying, you have to be, wanting to be, a millionaire, a multimillionaire, or whatever, but, I'll be honest, making six figures consistently is possible in a lot of different industries these days. Even if you want to work for somebody else and you have a skill set that that you need help working on and expanding, making six figures should be a possible thing for everybody these days here that lives here. The resources that we all have at our disposal, beyond the internet, beyond Google, YouTube, whatever, just the city to city or state to state resources that we all have, right? It's like, if you're not leveraging that, while you're here in this country, then what is the point? Not every country does what we do. Not every country has Medicaid to state handouts. No offense to those that need it, but understand that, for me particularly, once you really get in your right mind frame, you really start lifting your vibrations up, you're gonna be too good for a handout. So it's like, I don't
I don't
know.
like handouts. I really don't. And I'm gonna explain why I
It's
don't like handouts, Jacqueline. Because I feel like I'm indebted to you, and I feel less of a man. That's just me personally. That's just my belief, my pet peeve. Because where I come from, my dad worked 2 full-time jobs. My dad worked 2 full-time jobs, 5 days a week, day and night, and that's where I get that from. He always taught us not to depend on nobody else. You go out here and get it. My mom the same way. Don't depend on nobody. Go out here and get it. And I do the same because I don't want to depend on nobody. I don't want to be a burden to anybody because I feel less of a human being when I do that. That's just my pet peeve. Not to say I'm being prideful, but we got to get from that point from looking for handouts all the time. And I notice people now always look for handouts. Not I'm saying stuff happens. True enough, stuff happens. It really do. But let's not start a conversation off with you. Hey, I need this. I need that. What are you doing? What have you been doing?
mm-hmm.
And we don't want to ask these questions. We ask these questions. Oh, you judging me? You putting me down? No, we need to know what the problem is. We want to cover stuff up. We want to put a band-aid, but we never cover the issues. I remember years ago, it was a guy that I used to work with back at home in Mobile, Alabama. And especially for those who are married and your wife is not working, you're gonna have to make adjustments because you're the only income coming in. So he was having struggles with his finances, and I said, okay, right, put together the things that you don't need, the things you're not doing anything with. So he was just breaking this stuff down, like he was saying the gym bill. He said, well, we got a gym bill, my wife never goes. So, okay, well then cut that out then. If you know you're not utilizing it, cut that out. So it's all about that self-examination. And I mean, your field, Jacqueline, do you actually sit down with people, let us say, okay, sit down with them, put everything on the table, what things they do need, what things what they don't need. Do you ever actually help them see the logic of that? Like, okay, what you don't need, I mean, what you don't need and what you do need.
You know what? There's a very fine boundary line between human beings thinking about what they want versus thinking what they need.
Right.
And yes, during every single strategy session I have with clients, new or current, it's painful sometimes to really go dig deep into someone's personal financial strategy. And sometimes, ritual-wise, I think about a good 80 to 90% of people don't think ahead beyond current time frame. And some of the time these people have children. So for me particularly, it's it's actually something that I ask every client to do, and this is a no judgment zone. We all have to learn at some point.
Right.
And not only just learn, but really understand that the mistakes that we make we can't afford for them to be repeated over and over again because I mean, finances, yes, are a huge part of why we have the lifestyle we have today, but beyond that, it's where your mindset is at, where your energy is at. Are you open-minded? Are you closed-minded? Are you always thinking from a place of scarcity versus thinking of a place from abundance? All that ties into what I do. And I mean, I'll be honest, the business consulting I do in combination with, the financial literacy, the professional development per se, usually just starts up here. Everybody's mindset always gets, thrown underneath that microscope, and I have to look, and I mean like really, really like look and discern for myself deep down what is going on, because we're the highest form of God's creation. I don't know many people, like, whether they believe in God or not, or have some sort of like spiritual embodiment or ties to who it is that they really are at their core. We're able to think for ourselves and really get to the bottom of what it is that we want to do with our life, right? So while I do get into all that, I take it one step beyond. I don't always intend to help clients only with a particular type of service, whether it's life insurance, health insurance, business consulting. Just trying to, it's not a one and done thing with me. it's a ongoing consistency that I think that a lot of clients, whether they want it or not at that certain time frame, because they didn't want to be exposed like that, they didn't want to be kept vulnerable. At the end of the day, it is all private anyway, at least with me, right? And yeah, I mean, finances, oh Lord, it's just, there's really no idea or no excuse in my book to say, continuously think and say that you can't afford something, or that this dream is impossible for me to actually make reality because I come from a certain background, or I come from a certain upbringing. I can't do this because of this, or so and so said that I have to be a certain time frame and age and experience to do this. That is, to me, that is all fluff and complete, utter disregard for yourself. Because you know what, if you got a dream and you continuously think about it but you don't do anything about it, in my book, God is trying to tell you something, and he may or may not have given you the solution or the answer to whatever it is that you're trying to think about, figure out for yourself. Right. So, for example, before I did all this, being a financial literacy advisor, or an educator, being in the real estate investment world as I am these days, consulting for business, individuals and groups of people, I was working at a nail salon that was my family's, my aunt and uncles, for 3 years straight, 1 day off a week, 60 hours plus bare minimum. And I only had to do that because I lost my way. I didn't know what God wanted me to do. And I think I spent so much time trying to, pretend that I was all good and stuff like that. In reality, like, I needed something that would provide me a purpose and longevity. So 2014 to 2000, actually, yeah, 2014 to about 2016, 17, I was very, very miserable. And 2017 to the current day, where it's about to be 2022, it's taking me I think, if anything, one understanding not only who I was, but what I wanted. Right. What I didn't want is, at one point, my actual death date, me passing away, whatever date that's going to be in the future, and to have God tell me, you did okay with your life and everything I gave you and what your parents and your ancestors gave you, but that's because of the fact that you took the easy way out. If had you taken this route, you would have been able to accomplish all this and then some, to help out, other human beings. I did not want that to be the conversation that I would have with God the day that I was called. And I don't know how much more deeper it gets than that. So it's like, we all have a purpose, and I found mine, fortunately, before I even hit 30. But it's like, a lot of people don't. And yes, making money is great, but what about everything beyond that point?
Right. Exactly.
So it's like, I leave people with this message a lot of time when I leave a strategy or consulting session that I do, practically every day. Success versus satisfaction. Success, to me, is a very, it's a term that other people are on the outside looking in towards you. Titles, money, cars, houses, everything physical in terms of, actual things of ownership, which is okay to a degree, as long as you don't let all that stuff blind you, and you pretty much, start becoming who you're really not. Or, satisfaction. Internally speaking, are you satisfied with your business, its structure, your clients who you're helping? Are you satisfied with the organization? Are you satisfied with the people that you're around every day? Because yes, it is a true fact. The 5 people you're around the most is who you're going to become. If you hang around 5 successful people, more than likely you'll be the 6th. If you hang around 5 people that are committed and motivated to do whatever it takes to win, obviously in terms of, winning, to help the team and to help one another, right? You're more likely to be the 6th. If you hang around 5 people that do nothing but take from others and don't give back, that drain people's energy and don't, do anything in return, if you hang around 5 people that only care to an extent about themselves, you're more than likely the 6th.
Right.
right? So, and nobody can deny that fact of life. It's the law of attraction and the law of association, right? And most importantly, the law of vibrations. Yes, we all have bad days, right? We all have days where we wish that we can start the day over again and wish that XYZ event didn't happen or occur. But at the end of the day, if we still have a life and we know that we can wake up the next day and have a do-over, that's the energy right there. It's the vibration of always doing your best to stay positive. And of course, when you're in the deep stuff, like you think that you can never get out of an ongoing thing that you may seem to have, like whether it's your car breaking down, your house not being able to be paid for your mortgage, you're having issues with your spouse, whatever, right? That stuff comes in waves. And a lot of the time, people don't understand that the more and more you think about that type of stuff, the more and more it comes your way. Instead of always thinking about what's going wrong, start thinking about, what solutions can you provide to yourself to get things right. And eventually, those waves of negativity, of bad occurrences will stop happening so much.
Right.
And that's the thing. I mean, I know that, finances overall are what was on point for our topic today. But if your mindset's not right, if your body's not right, there's no way that your finances will ever be right where you want them to be. Because even if they are for a little bit, something will always come down the road that will undo that, and you have to pretty much go back to that drawing board, right? So why not do something, start strong, finish strong, and know that in the transference of the in-between stuff, anything can happen. So it's a matter of perception and how you choose to go about, responding to things. People often react to things and respond to things, especially when it comes to having to spend money that they weren't prepared to spend. If you know that you're reacting to things and knowing that you still have a shot to do better next time, start becoming prepared. Find another way to make more money, save more money. Emergency funds. Start thinking out what to do with debt if you have debt that that's going to be hovering over you for a good long while. Start responding to things better, so that way the next time life throws you an unexpected curveball, you'll be ready. That's really the key right there. There's no secret to how people make all that money that they make, because they know at the end of the day, if they spend so much time trying to get ready, they're never going to be prepared to take on any and all of life's curveballs. But if you stay prepared and you stay ready, there's no reason to have to spend that time to get ready.
Right. I agree. Stay ready at all times, Jacqueline. Accountability is important. Being better prepared mentally, and also I'm an advocate also on taking care of our mind, our brains. We got food for our brain. We got vitamins to help us with brain memory and stuff like that. And I'll take them on a regular also, because that stuff plays a role too. Once you take care of that inner self, you'll want to do things a whole lot better, and you'll start thinking clearer when you want to handle your, when it comes to your finances and things of that nature. And I know people want to buy things. I'm not knocking that. Hey, you want to buy a thing? Hey, go by all means, but don't be irresponsible. That's what I want to say. Is being irresponsible. If it could wait. Trust me, that stuff always gonna be there. That stuff is always gonna be there. But when you're on a mission, you're on assignment, especially when you want to get out of debt. And I think a lot of creditors now are willing to work with you to get rid of your debt. It may be at a high price. Well, they'll lower the price. Hey, just pay this amount, and we're just going to clear your debt. So there's no excuse that you can't get out of debt.
You know what? It's if anything, everybody should understand that you should never really fully be satisfied where you're at, even if you have everything that most people just want to have, right? A good house, a good number of assets, cars, whatever. To me, I like to leave behind, to my future children, should I decide to start my own family one day, cash flowing, positive cash flowing assets. I know in my mind that I'm going to be able to get there. It's just a matter, blocking out things that a lot of people do want to do, and so for instance, take vacations, right? I haven't had a vacation where I didn't have to do any work at all, or think about what's going on with my employees, my team members, whatever, for the last 5 to 6 years.
Right.
The last time I actually went anywhere, mind you, was the Florida Keys, because I used to live in Florida, back then, and I went there for a birthday, right, my birthday, but that was years ago, and I just turned 27, and every year, I don't do birthday celebrations. Now, mind you, that's probably not going to be a commonality amongst a lot of people, because every birthday, especially for us that are younger, turn up, buy all these bottles, get the clubs going, get about your friends. I know, right?
Yeah, it's for image.
And that's the thing.
Image. That's it.
And that's the thing. It's like, for me, every birthday that I don't, if I don't actually accomplish anything that I think is actually a good magnitude, I don't celebrate. I stay in. If anything, I'll invite friends over, do board games, whatever. But I don't go out there and spend my money on, clubbing and partying and doing stuff like that. I haven't done that since I was like 22, 23.
And I'm gonna say that too. People that have money don't do that. They really don't. Okay, Dak Prescott making his first year making 70-something million a year. You don't see. Say you probably, I can hear you. You mute.
75 million
a year, his first year. You don't see him at the club. You don't see him popping bottles. You don't see that man doing none of that stuff because he's responsible. And people that are not use that type of money, yeah, they're gonna blow it. Yeah, they're gonna do image. They're gonna do clout. But if you got money, like the Bill Gates of the world, they don't buy that expensive stuff.
Nope.
Look at the average billionaire. They wear stuff from the Goodwill. They don't go buy all the name price stuff that people do. They don't believe in all that. They don't. They never did. They just like, hey, don't need that stuff. They just believe in, like you said, they believe in asset stuff that's gonna help them generate more income than just going out there and blowing $300, $400 pair of stuff. You don't have anything to show for it. A lot of stuff just be for image. Popping bottles, that's it, then you broke. You ain't got nothing to show for it. Who wants to live like that? That stuff gets old, especially when you start getting older now.
Well, considering I haven't hit 30 yet, I think I came to this realization a whole lot sooner than a good majority of my colleagues do. And well, I mean, if you think about it, it's all about sacrifice, right? I mean, I actually just intentionally skipped over a vacation in Hawaii. I had already been planning, but being the fact that I've been back here in my hometown only since this past February, and I'm building a very large empire out here, I didn't take the vacation. I couldn't bring myself to spend, 5-6 days in Hawaii, knowing that people back here were going to need me regardless. And I do a whole lot better with my team building in person than I do over Zoom. Trust me, the last 18 months of using Zoom, I'm over it. I do not want. The only time I want to be utilizing it is if I'm doing something with someone internationally, because clearly I can't hop on a plane and go to India like I can, hopping on a plane and going to Georgia or to Florida or whatever, So it's like, I don't know. That's just my take on it. So, and I just really want, more people to win, regardless of what industry you may be in, whatever it is that you want to do with your life, people just have to understand that, we're all capable of winning, right? Not just financially, but, overall. And yes, does that mean every once in a while I'm okay with, going out and spending money like that? Yes, just not when there's just so much work to be done, especially in the last quarter of the year.
Oh yeah, at a high level. Because don't get me wrong, I want me a nice 2-story house. I always desire that type of stuff. I want me a nice car, and you have lots of money in the bank. There's nothing wrong with having that stuff. It really is. Everybody should desire that. That's every man and woman should desire that. Have more, to be able to do more. If you want to go somewhere, you ain't got to worry about robbing Peter to pay Paul. You got the money to do those things, and God will elevate us to that stature of living. And like you said, it's all about going out there again and applying yourself. Just like the Bible instructed, we commit our works unto Him, He would establish our thoughts, and that's what I believe in. As long as we commit unto Him, He's gonna establish our thoughts, and He's gonna make things clear for us to be able to walk into access. But like you said, Jacqueline, you want everybody to win. I want everybody to win too. Ken, you have anything you want to share on Ask Jacqueline before you get out there?
No, I'm just I'm taking it all in. Actually, I think as far as what we just got through talking about, I can agree to a certain extent. As for me, I kind of I dibble and dab a little bit. I'm gonna use the birthday example. I always think 364 days out of a year, you're working, you're doing little odd things, and that one day that I call it the born on purpose day. Your birthday, no matter what it is, you should do something to celebrate yourself. Now, I do agree that to go into I haven't been to a club in almost 20 years, but do something that excites you. People could call you up, give you cards, give you money, and do all this, or you go out to have dinner at your favorite restaurant. But it boils down to that day where you were born. So do something that excites you. Me, what I would do, I go and I smoke me a cigar, and I go buy me I may not do it all year long, but that one day I'll spend maybe $30-$40 on a cigar. That I wouldn't. Then the next day I wouldn't do it, but just because it was my birthday and it was the day that I was born, it was just a celebration. A lot of things that I picked up tonight that's really helpful, and I really love it. And so I actually had a good time listening, and that's what I do. I like to sit back. That's why I go off. I come back on because I'm actually tuned in to what you're saying. And so I enjoyed tonight. I really enjoyed everything, and it is very helpful, very helpful, very helpful.
Awesome stuff, cool beans on that. And also, Jacqueline, thank you for chopping up with us here tonight on the podcast. Of course, I know it's going to be up on our YouTube channel tonight. Do you have any final remarks, Jacqueline, you want to share with the listener audience going to tune in? Because this is going on YouTube. So it's going to be
Of course it is.
To come.
I have to say props to both Kenny and Furman. Furman, you're not a native of DFW. It is crazy how I just think that we're part of a great city. This entire city. We have a bunch of entrepreneurs here that are awesome. We have a bunch of hustlers here, and you know what? I spent a decade in Central Florida, and I really got to discern myself the difference, geographically between being out there to being here, right? The difference is that yes. The truth about Florida is that there is a bunch of people there that have money, but they're already there to retire.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, and I'm obviously fairly young. I am in no way in means able to even say that I can retire yet. Nor, do I really even want to get to that point, at a certain time frame. Retirement is about the amount of assets you have and the amount of money that's able to carry you through your better years, not about age, right?
Right.
So, and for me, by my next birthday, when I hit 28 next August, end of August, I'll actually by then have done something that I think will allow me to celebrate for a whole month.
My birthday's in August. What day?
The 29th.
Mine is the 25th.
So that's the goal, actually, because growing up, I didn't have the ability to celebrate my birthday every year on time like that, just because of a financial standpoint, right? And I think for me, the older I got, because I had to grow up fairly quick after high school ended, and I just figured, what, if I don't do anything to where it can not only change my life, but change everyone else around me, then I just have to continue working. And I think, this time around, I'm on the overall breakthrough of what I've been working for so long now to finally actually say in this upcoming August, even though I just know that month has passed a couple months back, I can actually celebrate the whole month and not feel guilty about it.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
And that's the thing. It's like we all live, we have purpose, so you know what? at the end of the day, I'm all about making Dallas, Fort Worth, and all our surrounding cities, Arlington, Grand Prairie, whatever it is that you're currently at, you're listening on this, a better place, right? So yeah, we have a lot of people coming to take our food off the table. But all the Californians that are moving here, they obviously come from a hustle culture, right? Something that we are all used to a certain degree and extent. But I'm not gonna let any of the Californians take my bread. So, that's why I work so hard the way I do.
Oh yeah, I respect that because it's very diverse here, and I've been here almost December the 18th, making a year that I've been living here in the DFW area. Arlington. Big shouts out to the A Town, of course.
Act Town, Act Town.
So what I'm saying is, it's great here. The opportunities are here. There's so much wealth of knowledge here. Here in the state of Texas, what I'm saying, everything that I was dreamed about came to pass. Since I landed here on December 18, 2020, and I touched down here, it took me 9 hours to get here from Mobile, Alabama to Arlington, and I felt that peace here, and I felt I belong here, and God wanted me here, and He did it for a reason. So I'm very excited about being here, and so much opportunity here in Dallas. I got a chance to go see my very first Cowboys game. Big shout out to my favorite team, Dallas Cowboys. Of course, been a fan of them since childhood, since I was living in Alabama, and got a chance to actually go see them to play. But Jacqueline, I'm not like you. Ken, it's all about enjoying life. Christ I came that you might have life and have life more abundant. And that's what it's all about, living. Here on the podcast, we want to encourage people, inspire people to be their better version of themselves. Get out there, make things happen for yourselves. Step your game or elevate your game. Like I said, I want to live in a nice house. I do, and it's coming. I want to have a nice bank account. Do I want to see the podcast start generating income? Yeah, I do want to start seeing generation income, and I want to see people like Kenny and Emo and them benefit off this for generations to come. And that's the goal, really. To be able to have that had to happen.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I will say this podcast is going to blow up the longer you do it.
Oh, most definitely. Staying consistent. It's like, I know we had this conversation on the phone. You said, hold on, you only been here 9 months, you making all this noise like that?
Yeah, because it's just something that a lot of people don't do, especially living out in Central Florida for 10 years of my life. It's like, they're so used to same old that they don't bother to go out there and rock the boat, make waves. And it's like, it's just good to come back to my hometown and actually know and feel that energy is always going to be around.
And it's constantly building here too. I noticed that they're constantly building here in Dallas, surrounding areas, and it's new neighborhoods going up, new apartment complexes going up, new jobs. Because we recently just got a raise at our job for Dallas County, and I'm very excited about that too. So hey, the money is here, so you just got to go get it. You know what I'm saying? I tell anybody, if you want to transition here, I have extra room. You want to stay through each transition? Hey, go for it. Because I got friends back at home who want opportunities. Hey, there's opportunities here. You want to come? Hey, make it happen. I did. I had to step out on faith. And once you step out on faith, God gonna make a way for you. You just gotta trust Him.
Absolutely.
And not depend on anybody else. No matter how I look. Let me tell you what motivated me when I figured you off the air. What really got me when in Genesis chapter 12, when God spoke to Abram, He told him to leave everything and go to a land I will show you. He said, leave your kindred, leave everything, your security, and go to a land I will show you. See, God will have to do that in order for you to trust Him. He will have to get you out your comfort zone. He has to get you from unfamiliar surroundings where you have to trust Him. I know the same thing I had to do in Dallas. I didn't know anybody in Dallas. I don't know anything about this city, but I have to trust Him. And since then, He's been making a way for me. So, hey, I thank God for being here. So, but Jacqueline, how can people get in contact with you if they have any questions? How do you coach them? How you keep it real with them? How can they get in contact with you?
Well, if you're obviously a local DFW native and you live anywhere in the surroundings, I mean, I will see, me particularly, I will drive out hours away to see one client if I know that their situation isn't needing me being there physically, So, for me particularly, obviously my Facebook handle, Instagram, I have a LinkedIn. I have business cards as well that I will definitely snap and send over to Furman, or once I actually eventually meet you in person, we can do that too.
Oh yeah, most
And
definitely.
all of my initial consults are all complimentary. I don't charge anything as long as I know that you're going to be there to grow yourself. Because at the end of the day, my work is for the client. You know, for me particularly, I've never really been about, you know, taking myself up and not having more people around me win. As long as I know that I can put you in the same position that I am already in, but take half the time doing it, you know, cut down my overall 10 years into somebody's 2, 3, 5 years, I'll know that I've done my job perfectly right to the best of my ability, right? So whether Zoom, going to my office in Dallas, I actually have another office in Arlington as well that I just got in connection with this past weekend. So it's like, you know, I have the space. I just want to be able to sit down with more people and just really look at, you know, people's futures.
Oh yeah.
You know, saving somebody's future is one thing, but how can we do it long term? You know, to where you would never have to really usually stress as you normally would prior to meeting me and taking care of XYZ, you know. So as far as my overall knowledge, one thing I know I'm always going to do is keep up with the markets, keep up with the times.
Oh yeah.
You know, people are doing things like buying digital real estate now. So it doesn't have to be buildings anymore, brick and mortar. It's literally done digitally these days. You know, and it's crazy. Cryptocurrency, you know, as much as I am an advocate of financial literacy, we have to start looking at overall what we have to own in the digital space. Because, you know, let's face it, all the other countries around us are doing their thing already with crypto and with owning things in digital form. We're just now starting to get there, you know, overall as one country. You know, and people still have their doubts about it, and I get it. You know, people will always have doubts about things that they are not comfortable with because they don't know a thing about it, but it's okay. You know, we're all on this journey together, at least for me. You know, the more and more I explore and what more I can do to create my own income streams, and bigger, better ones, the more and more I can provide back, you know, to my circle, to my community, you know. So it's like, that's just where it is right now. 2022 is coming. So these last couple of weeks of holidays and everything in between, it's just a defining point for all of us, really. You know, how we actually want to set off 2022.
Most definitely.
So
I tell them about, man, keep playing at a high level, stay at a high level. We got 2 more months left in 21. So I encourage everybody, man, play at a high level, educate yourself, take advantage of the opportunity. I heard somebody say last night, there's no room for error when I was at work. And that's what we need to take and apply, no room for error. So I encourage everybody. But Jacqueline, I thank you once again. I know we pressed for time. I thank you once again, Jacqueline. I'm looking forward to connect with you, sit down with you, chop it up with you, since we both in the same city. Also, big shout out to Kenny with the latest news and updates. And you know, eventually we all be in the studio together. And
that's when we're gonna have a good time, man.
So looking forward to that day. We may sit down in the studio and have our guests come into the studio. We sit at the round table. Oh yeah, most definitely. And like I said, man, we love each and every one of y'all. We thank y'all once again. The replay will be up on our YouTube channel, so we encourage you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are up to 110 subscribers, so we want to get the numbers up. So we want y'all to encourage y'all. Stay consistent is key. So if you out there doing stuff, stay consistent. Don't base things on your own feelings, because you base things on feelings, you ain't gonna never get nothing done. You gonna say, I feel like doing it today, but next week I don't feel like doing it. Don't get like that. Stay consistent. Pause out, press my way. We have to press our way, ladies and gentlemen. It's not based how we feel. Press your way. Even though I got off work at about 6:30 this morning. Yeah, I was dog tired, but I had to keep going. But we press for time. We're gonna see y'all next Tuesday. Same bad time, same bad channel. And also, love y'all. Be blessed, everybody. Peace.
Peace.
All right. Thanks, Birdman. Thank you, Kenny.
All right, have a good one.